Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're heading straight to ancient Vassali to witness a dramatic, highly public spiritual betrayal. Imagine this. A disgruntled former student has just stood up in front of a crowd and completely dragged the Buddha's name through the mud. We're going to explore a really fascinating ancient text called the Mahāsīhanāda Sutta, or the longer discourse on the lion's roar. And what's amazing here is how the Buddha reacts. He doesn't get defensive. Instead, he defends his awakening with an unimaginably vast display of realization.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this quote right here is the spark that sets off the entire text. It's from Sunakata. He's a former student who had recently abandoned the training, and now he's standing in front of the locals, essentially calling the Buddha a total fraud. He says, the ascetic Gautama doesn't have any superhuman distinction in knowledge or vision. He just teaches what he's worked out by ordinary logic, following his own line of inquiry. You really have to grasp the gravity of this inciting incident. In a culture where profound, cosmic spiritual realization was the absolute highest currency, Sunakata is literally trying to strip the Buddha of all his authority.
Section 1. The Ancient Smear Campaign. The Betrayal.
Section 2. The 10 Powers. A Cosmic Mic Drop.
So Venerable Sariputta hears about this devastating smear campaign and reports it. And the Buddha? Well, he doesn't get angry, he doesn't panic. Instead, he directly counters this claim of just logic by laying out 10 superhuman powers. He casually declares that these powers give him the bull's place, meaning absolute, unshakable leadership of the herd, allowing him to roar his lion's roar in absolutely any assembly.
Now, what's really interesting about this is how completely these powers just shatter Sunakadatta's mundane little accusation. The Buddha explains, I don't just use logic. He wields telepathy. He understands exactly if a mind is gripped by greed or if it's entirely free from it. He can recollect hundreds of thousands of past lives across whole eons of cosmic expansion and contraction. He possesses purified clairvoyance, meaning he sees exactly how beings pass away and are reborn strictly based on their deeds. He truly understands where all paths of practice lead. This is a staggering scale of awareness that Sunakadatta was just entirely blind to.
Section 3. The 4 Assurances. Unshakable Confidence.
And that massive cosmic awareness, it translates into this unshakable fearlessness right in the present moment. The Buddha grounds this absolute confidence in 4 kinds of self-assurance. Basically, this means there's literally no one in the universe, no aristocrat, no learned Brahmin, not even a divine being, who can legitimately criticize his awakening. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why he feels zero anxiety. First off, nobody can say he claims to be fully awakened but actually doesn't understand things. Second, no one can say he claims to have ended defilements but secretly still harbors them. Third, no one can argue that the things he calls spiritual obstructions aren't actually obstructions. And finally, fourth, no one can say his teaching doesn't lead to the complete ending of suffering. His foundation is absolutely flawless, and that's why he walks into any room perfectly secure.
Section 4. Navigating the 5 Destinations. Mapping the Universe.
From this place of total confidence, the Buddha details his clairvoyant ability to map the entire universe, and he uses these incredibly visceral, rich metaphors to describe where someone's daily choices inevitably lead them. Seeing someone heading for hell? He says it's like watching an exhausted, parched traveler walking straight toward a pit of glowing coals deeper than a man's height. The animal realm? That's like walking toward a deep sewer filled to the brim with feces. The ghost realm is like finding a tree on rugged, stony ground offering only this thin, dappled shade. Now, humanity is a bit better. It's a tree on smooth ground with thick, dense shade. The realm of the gods is luxurious, like arriving at a draft-free stilt longhouse with a plush, pure white, wool-covered couch. But nirvana, the ultimate freedom? He compares it to an exhausted, heat-struck traveler finally finding a clean, sweet, cool lotus pond. They plunge in, wash away all that weariness and heat exhaustion, and just sit in perfect happiness.
Section 5. The Extreme Ascetic. Pushing the Physical Limits.
So, Sanhatta was actually highly impressed by ascetics who performed extreme physical tortures. Because of that, the Buddha essentially says, all right, let me tell you what I survived. Let's move to the physical toll and see how this builds, because the bodily destruction he describes is genuinely harrowing. He recalls fasting to the point of eating just a single jujube fruit a day. His bottom became like a camel's hoof. His ribs stuck out like the broken-down gaunt rafters of an old barn. The gleam in his eyes sank deep into his skull like water at the bottom of a deep well. His scalp withered and shriveled like a green bitter gourd left out in the hot wind and sun. And, Listen to this. When he tried to rub his limbs to soothe the pain, his hair, completely rotted at its roots, just fell right out of his skin.
He went to unimaginable extremes to test these methods. He lived in terrifying forests, walking completely naked in the freezing January snow. He literally ate the dung of young calves. He made his bed in charnel grounds, using the bones of the dead as a pillow, while people from the village would come spit on him and poke sticks in his ears, and he never had a single bad thought about them. Contrast that intense, gritty mortification with the hollow, easy theories of other ascetics of his time. You know, the guys claiming you could reach spiritual purity simply by eating a diet of mung beans, or through endless transmigration, or just by tending a sacred fire. The Buddha had pushed way, way past all of it.
So, we arrive at the absolute crux of the issue. The Buddha pushed the human body to the absolute brink of death. He did the most extreme physical trials a person could possibly endure. But we have to ask the crucial question. Did this gruesome suffering actually lead to his enlightenment?
Section 6. The Noble Wisdom, the True Path to Awakening.
The answer is a resounding no. The Buddha explicitly reveals that starving himself and sleeping on human bones completely failed to bring awakening. The crucial point here is this. The answer isn't ordinary, mundane logic, like Sunikata claimed, but it's also not the extreme physical torture of the ascetics. True enlightenment only comes to achieving a very specific, liberating noble wisdom. It is this noble wisdom alone that actually delivers the practitioner to the complete ending of suffering.
When the Buddha finally finishes this staggering explanation, spanning his cosmic powers, his intricate map of the universe, and his gritty triumph over both mere logic and self-torture, Venerable Sariputta is absolutely mind-blown. He looks at the Buddha and says, "It's incredible, sir. It's amazing. While I was listening to this exposition of the teaching, my hair stood up." And that right there is the whole theme. The Buddha's defense against this petty smear campaign isn't just a logical argument. It's an awe-inspiring, literal hair-raising display of ultimate confidence.
Which brings us to the ultimate takeaway for our own lives. We've seen that the Buddha completely rejected both the dry logic of his critics and the extreme destructive suffering of the ascetics. He founds the middle way through noble wisdom. So I want to leave you with this thought. If neither extreme suffering nor mere logic lead to true freedom, what is the noble wisdom you are building your life upon? Thanks for exploring this remarkable text with me on The Explainer. Keep seeking that wisdom, and I'll catch you next time.